Now at 9, we'll meet a Carthage teacher who's giving the ultimate gift to a retired co-worker. Plus, how a Pitt State professor is using a cemetery to teach students about history. And the Caney Valley School District is making changes to accommodate the city's water crisis.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Tanya Bach. The verdict is in from a Jasper County murder trial in a case where an argument ended with a gunshot. Jurors today took less than 30 minutes to find Damian Fisher guilty of second-degree murder and armed criminal action in the March 2022 death of Scotty Roller of Neosho. Authorities say the two got into an argument over the purchase of a vehicle in Joplin. Prosecutors say Fisher took a handgun out of his waistband and shot Roller in the back as he was fleeing. Authorities say Fisher and his father then disposed of the body by hiding it in a well at a property in Newton County. Damian Fisher will be sentenced at a later date. Eddie Fisher, Damian's father, previously pleaded guilty to abandonment of a corpse and receiving stolen property. Eddie Fisher is serving 7 years in prison. Well, Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty joining us with a first look at your forecast.
Yeah, it turned out to be another great day for us today, even though we've had some clouds kind of rolling through and a few random sprinkles, but Joplin, also Pittsburgh, looking pretty good at this point in time. Cooling down a bit, you got the 40s and then 50s and still 60s where that front is. You can see that kind of wind shift line right across southwestern Missouri, and with it we have the clouds and a few light little showers along and south of I-44, but are quickly going to work out of here, and then we look pretty good as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Mainly just sprinkles, Benton County, McDonald County, Berry County as well. So through the night, we clear out 58 by 11, 47 by 7 a.m. That should be our low. Sunshine in the morning. Temperature rebounds back to about 59 degrees. We're going to look in the high school football, the weekend, next storm system, all coming up here in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. Caney Valley schools are moving to a 4-day schedule starting Monday, October 30th, as a water crisis continues. According to the district release, the district is making other changes to help conserve water usage. That includes no showers at the school and consideration of a modified sports schedule for the remainder of the semester. The drought in southeast Kansas caused the water issues for Caney in both 2023 and 2022. A Carthage junior high educator is teaching more than math to her students this semester. Nicole Rankin is donating her kidney to the district's retired librarian, Betsy McCrary, giving an example of selflessness. But this is not the first time this has happened in the district. KOAM's Fernanda Silva has their story.
I hate to sound like it was such an easy choice, but I think it comes from my parents. My parents are very service oriented, and so I think that's why they didn't actually make that big of a deal out of it. They're like, oh, you're donating a kidney, that's great. They were excited for me, they were glad I'm doing it.
The decision of donating one of her kidneys came when the math teacher heard about special ed teacher Jason Rural being in need of a transplant. But he was not the only person in the district needing the organ.
I told her that if my kidney didn't work out for Jason, then she could have my kidney. And we laughed about it and we hugged, and then 2 years later, here we are.
The person Nicole is referring to is former librarian Betsy McCrary. While Jason and Nicole were not an ideal match, Nicole and Betsy were a perfect one. Now, from her 8th grade students, Nicole gets questions.
I guess they ask why. They ask why I'm doing it. And
what is the answer for that?
What I tell them is that I have 2 healthy kidneys. Betsy needs a healthy kidney, so why would I not just do it?
Being the one needing a healthy kidney 2 years ago, Jason knows the relief Betsy will soon feel.
Before I was living life, but now I'm living my best life due to the transplant, so it's been pretty amazing.
Jason ended up receiving his kidney from another teacher from the school district, Chelsea Aboot. Well, for Jason, Chelsea and Nicole are heroes.
Everyday hero comes with just stepping out of your comfort zone and doing something for someone else.
For Nicole, it's just a mere help to a friend.
Yeah, I'm helping her have a better quality of life, but yeah, yes, helping with quality of life.
In Carthage, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
The Carthage schools hosted a luncheon to commemorate the story and provide financial support to both Nicole and Betsy. Their surgeries will happen October 31st, and we wish them a speedy recovery. The Joplin Fire Department today received a grant from the Missouri American Water. The grant is part of more than $55,000 awarded to 47 Missouri fire departments and emergency response organizations. Utility company provides annual critical funding to Missouri fire departments and emergency organizations in the company's service areas.
It's absolutely vital with October being Fire Prevention Month. We're utilizing the grant funding we're getting from this grant to resupply. We're buying some new puppets for the puppet shows that we put on for the schools. We're also buying educational materials that we'll be handing out.
Missouri American Water is investing about $450 million this year to improve reliable water service, which is critical for fire protection. Well, firefighters in Girard, Kansas put out more than just fires. Turns out they're also putting out some great stories. The Girard Fire Department hit the public library today for story time. And just in case a great story didn't capture the minds of the young well enough, they also brought out firefighting equipment and a fire truck.
It's good. It feels good to reach out to the kids. You know, sometimes when you approach them in a fireman's outfit, they get scared. But for us here, just talking with them, showing them, hey, we're just an everyday person, out of our uniform. But when we dress up, we're not to be scary. But just to kind of educate them and about fire prevention, fire safety.
The Girard Public Library is at 174 South Osage Street. Well, cemeteries impact the community by not only being a place of rest, but also providing a glimpse into the past. KOAM's Amber Jenkins continues her look at 4 state cemeteries with a visit to 2 of them in Pittsburgh.
Still get a lot of requests from families out of state to bring the remains to be buried where they're from, be back in their community for their final resting place.
The City of Pittsburgh Parks and Recs Department is proud that Mount Olive Cemetery serves the community by offering a peaceful and beautiful resting place. The natural beauty is maintained by a local landscaping company that the city is thankful for.
The landscape maintenance and stuff, depending on the season, grass, it's probably anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 a month to maintain the cemetery to this high of standard.
A Pitt State history professor, Dr. Chris Lawson, says cemeteries near campus not only serve the community, but academia as well. She takes her students to Highland Cemetery south of campus and documents the headstones to share online.
This semester we took 130 pictures that were untaken in the past, and 13 of them had been specifically requested by relatives or descendants. And that's rewarding. It's fulfilling to do that.
Keeping history alive not only means keeping cemeteries tidy, but also remembering the stories that make the community what it is today.
Each one of these people here had a story, and they had people they left behind. And it's good to make those connections year-round, not just at Halloween.
Reporting in Pittsburgh, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Some Mount Olive and Highland Cemetery graves date back to the mid-1800s. Well, coming up, as more pharmacy chains close nationwide, we look at the growing problem of pharmacy deserts. You may have heard of the term food desert before. It refers to an area with limited access to affordable food products. But now pharmacy deserts could become a growing problem, with many large drugstores nationwide shuttering locations. Fox News' Ted Linder takes a look at the potential health impacts and who could be hit the hardest by vanishing pharmacies.
Ongoing staffing shortages at drugstores nationwide are leaving fewer pharmacists working behind the counter. The problem comes as several pharmacy chains have also been closing hundreds of their locations across the country. Some medical experts say it could be a recipe for disaster. Rite Aid, the nation's third largest standalone pharmacy chain, recently filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy on Sunday.
Their profit margins have been squeezed both in the pharmacy by the insurance companies and the other payers, but also in the front of the store by labor costs, by higher rent, by higher utility costs.
As Rite Aid navigates the bankruptcy proceedings, the drugstore could close hundreds of underperforming locations. Last month, the Wall Street Journal reported Rite Aid suggested shuttering 400 to 500 stores.
they probably will close a few hundred stores over the next 1 to 2 years.
Research from the National Institutes of Health finds pharmacy closures can trigger health risks. For example, it can make it difficult for older people to get their medications. It can be especially problematic when drugstores in rural towns and low-income neighborhoods with fewer services shut down. But it's not just Rite Aid. In 2021, CVS said it planned to close 900 locations by 2024. Walgreens also announced in June it plans to shut down 150 stores in the U.S. Meanwhile, data from management consulting firm McKinsey & Company reveals the number of independent pharmacy locations plummeted by roughly 50% from 1980 to 2022. Ted Lindner, Fox News.
New research from Rutgers University shows adults with ADHD are 3 times more likely to develop dementia. The study followed 100,000 adults for nearly 2 decades, finding even when other risk factors are taken into account, adult ADHD is associated with significantly higher dementia risk. The findings suggest an ADHD treatment may reduce that elevated risk. Well, it appears those who hit the snooze button, in fact, do not lose sleep. And that's according to a new Swedish study that looked at adults who use intermittent alarms to get in a few more minutes of sleep in the morning. The data shows some participants who were able to snooze for 30 minutes or more had improved cognitive tests compared to those who woke up abruptly. But we should point out, while snoozing may have some benefits for the snoozer, it's likely an annoying habit for any non-snoozing partner. I use the snooze button every morning. Well, Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, the Neosho Wildcats may be moving athletic conferences. Sports Director John Dales will break it all down.
Well, it turned out to be another nice day for us today. Plenty of sunshine during the morning hours, and then the clouds snuck in during the afternoon into the evening hours as a weak cold front has been working through the region. But still, temperatures pretty good. 76 for a high, above our average high of 70. Sunrise now almost 7:30. Sunset at 6:37. Remember, just in a couple weeks, we drop back an hour, so that means the sun would be setting at 5:37. All right, here's our weak system spinning across parts of Wisconsin. Most of the energy is going across the Great Lakes, but you can see it trails a line of clouds. Some very light showers with a cold front, so very light showers and sprinkles have been kind of pushing through. Still, we have a few little sprinkles out there along and south of Interstate 44. Besides that, we look okay. We are cooling down a bit. We're in the 40s, Yates Center, Neodesha, Chanute, and Iola. Then you hit the 50s, and then this line right here is our front. You jump back into the 60s, and there is cooler air behind this front, but it's not cold. So I still think we're going to warm up quite a bit for us tomorrow. Probably right around 70, 71 degrees, which is pretty close to where we should be for this time of the year. All right, 62 right now. Dew point of 47, so that's a pretty good indication of where we're going to end up later on tonight. North winds at about 10 miles per hour. Watch the wind shift line shift through over the past couple hours. That's our weak cold front that is working through the area. Looks okay right now. We do still have a lot of clouds, but we're going to clear out as we go through the overnight hours. Nice shot, indigo sky, casino and resort. Through the overnight hours, we clear out, drop into the 40s. Overnight low of 47, back to 57 by 10 a.m. Let's work through your next 48 hours. Everybody upper 40s during the morning hours. Clear skies, partly sunny skies, a few clouds skirting through tomorrow. Mid 60s by noon. Most of us top out. 71 in Carthage, 73 in Miami, Parsons, up to about 75 degrees. Tomorrow night, we drop back upper 40s again, so very similar to what we are going to see tonight. And then as we go into Friday, it looks pretty good. We're going to warm up even more as we go into the mid to upper 70s, even pushing 80 out across our western counties. So if you like these temperatures we've been seeing, we're going to continue to see them over the next few days. All right, 9 a.m., 54, 68 by 1, 71 by 5 p.m., so a great day. Let's jump into Friday night. We got high school football, another week of pretty good football weather. Temperatures dropping back through the 60s during the game. 71 tomorrow, 76 Friday, 75 on Saturday, 76 on Sunday. Then we get rain chances sneaking in Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, really all of next week. So in our second half hour, we're really going to focus on those next bigger storm systems moving in for us next week.
It's nice that we have a little dry stretch, though.
Yeah, it's going to be really nice over the next few days.
Yeah, and then we get the rain.
There you go.
All right, well, coming up, falling further behind.
American families are struggling to store their money away. I'm Jerry Willis with Fox Business. As the spending rises, the savings are falling. That's coming up.
Despite rising prices and higher interest rates, consumers do not seem to be slowing down their spending. Fox Business correspondent Jerry Willis takes a look at how spending habits are affecting budgets.
Americans are back to doing what they do best, spending money. Retail sales for the month of September came in twice expectations, rising 0.7% last month, higher for the sixth straight month. But you have to wonder why. Consumers face considerable headwinds. Inflation rose 3.7% for the 12 months ended in September, while current mortgage rates closed in on 8%. Credit card delinquencies are at an 11-year high, and one economist now credits continuing strength in the jobs market.
I think that's really helping a lot of consumers stay afloat, despite all these really stiff headwinds that we're seeing from, a still elevated cost of living, interest rates rising, and even things like student loans starting up again.
Economists responded to the news by increasing their outlook for economic growth. Goldman Sachs raising its GDP estimate by 0.3 percentage point to 4.0%. That's the fastest growth in 2 years. But there could be a hangover. Savings rates appear to be slowing. According to a new ranking of the world's retirement systems, the U.S. received a C+ based on Social Security and 401ks. And economist Brune says she sees early evidence that consumers earning $100,000 and more and Gen Zers are pulling back on spending. Bottom line, consumers aren't always predictable, and just because inflation continues and rates rise, well, that doesn't mean folks will stop spending. In New York, Jerry Willis, Fox Business.
Now, on the other side, Americans' net worth surged at a historic pace from 2019 to 2022. That's according to Federal Reserve data released today. The numbers are a reflection of the pandemic era's tremendous economic swings and the wealth generated from home ownership. Real median net worth swelled by a whopping 37% in 2022 from the pre-pandemic 2019 numbers. That's more than double the next largest increase on record. Well, job-based health insurance is a lot more expensive for companies and workers this year. Yearly premiums for family health insurance coverage at work soared to an average of nearly $24,000. That's according to KFF's Employer Health Benefits Survey and represents a 7% jump from last year. The average employee share of the annual premium came out to $6,575. That's a jump of almost $500 from last year, or nearly 8%. Up next, we'll learn what this year's top costumes are, according to Google. According to Google, the most popular Halloween costume this year is Barbie. The dolls come in all sorts of outfits, so a variety of costumes are available. Princess is the number 2 pick based on what Google calls its Frightgeist. Spider-Man takes third. Other popular outfits include the traditional witch, cowboy, or ninja. And in a cross-holiday quirk, the 10th most popular costume is bunny. Okay. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports is coming your way. Coming up, with turkey hunting season canceled in Kansas, we'll hear from a sporting goods store about how hunters are adapting. Plus, how volunteers from Lowe's help clean up at a children's crisis center. Both Missouri and Kansas have made changes to the hunting season this fall. The biggest change is that Kansans will not have a fall turkey season. KOAM's Anthony Saviello has the story.
While the hope is that the decision to suspend fall turkey season in Kansas will help replenish population numbers, local businesses are taking a hit. The Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks says the reason for the suspension is due to declining turkey populations and that it is uncertain when the fall season will be reopened. Adam Gargaletti says the suspension of the season may help populations, but worries about what could happen in the spring and years to come.
What starts to worry me more than anything is talking about spring season being reduced, or now non-residents having to draw for spring hunting. Then again, I hate to look at the state as a whole because we're not. Southeast Kansas, our area is a lot more rich with game, fish, trees. We have a different environment than Pratt, Kansas, or west of Wichita.
Another part of Adam's worries is the fact that non-residents are attracted to Southeast Kansas for its hunting. Adam says that non-residents have a desire to hunt in Southeast Kansas. Many usually spend several days in the area, which can drive the local economy.
Yeah, I'm very concerned because since last Saturday, I've personally waited on 65 people that are going to South Dakota to go pheasant hunting, which is great. Good for them, good time. But I see the money going to other states rather than staying within our own state.
So while the population of a non-indigenous species may get restored, is such a plan sustainable for local businesses? Reporting in Pittsburgh, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
And we will be talking to the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks next week to see what plans are in place to help restore numbers faster. We'll also bring you more information next week about the changes we're seeing this hunting season in Missouri. Volunteers from Lowe's today helped clean up around a children's crisis center in Joplin. The volunteers cleaned up leaves and built new benches for the Children's Haven. It's part of Lowe's Hometown's Community Impact Program. Officials say the Children's Haven was chosen because of a family connection. Maple Leaf Festival in Carthage is well underway, but it's not all just food and games. Tonight, the Chamber of Commerce hosted a night of worship at Central Park. People were able to bring chairs to the park to worship God together.
We usually do it in the church, but we wanted everybody to feel invited. And so we put it in the park, and more people are coming, and outdoor worship is awesome. We're also showing a video about the importance of our nation and what we're going through right now. And we're going to be praying for the nation and also for Israel. And we will have some wonderful worship sets with a worship team made up of several different churches.
The festival continues through Saturday. Tomorrow is a 3 Minutes of Fame event. Then the carnival kicks off on Friday with a parade on Saturday. Well, the House continues to struggle to elect a new Speaker of the House as Republicans are divided about who should lead. In the second round of voting, Jim Jordan lost some support among House Republicans. Jordan says he has no plans to drop out of the race. Protests are continuing across the Middle East after a rocket struck a hospital in Gaza yesterday. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has more.
As fighting intensifies along the Gaza Strip, President Biden says the U.S. stands with Israel.
I come to Israel with a single message. You're not alone. You are not alone.
On Wednesday, the president spoke with the families of victims taken hostage during the Hamas terror attack. He also backed up claims Israel was not responsible for Tuesday's deadly airstrike on a Gaza hospital, citing data he was shown by the Defense Department.
It appears the result of an errant rocket fired by a terrorist group in Gaza. The United States unequivocally stands for the protection of civilian life during conflict.
That incident once again sparking protests across the Middle East and raising concerns the humanitarian crisis in Gaza could escalate. During his visit, President Biden announced $100 million in U.S. funding for humanitarian assistance. He also came to an agreement with Israeli officials to allow the delivery of life-saving aid to Gaza.
Hamas is a different kind of enemy. While Israel seeks to minimize civilian casualties, Hamas seeks to maximize civilian casualties.
Meanwhile, tensions are still building in Israel's north, where forces have exchanged fire with Lebanese Hezbollah. Israeli officials say they are prepared for a potential multi-front conflict.
What I can say regarding Hezbollah and our northern border is that we will do everything to protect it.
President Biden says he will ask Congress for a support package for Israel's defense later this week. In Jerusalem, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Well, a bit later, what a new report shows about a growing amount of people buying their first homes with help from their parents.
Well, of course, a nice day for us today. Temperatures pretty good across the region as we went back into the 70s. And overall, the month of October has been a little bit above average. You can actually see the first week we were in the 80s, pushing 90. We did get a cool spell, 6th and 7th, warmed back up last week, cooled down last weekend, and then back above normal for us today. And we're going to stay seeing those nice temperatures sticking around as we go through the next couple days. We could use some rain. We've had 1.77 inches for the month, but we're still over 11 inches behind where we should be for this time of the year, so we could definitely use the rain. All right, our little system that is rotating through now rotates off toward the east, and then once we get into the weekend, a whole bunch of nothing out to the west, but we start to see some changes early next week. So a system dips down south of Arizona and then starts to spit a chunk of energy toward us, giving us showers and thunderstorms. This pushes by and another system reloads. We're in the new pattern, which we're in for the next 12 months. So we're going to see this, and this is much different than what we've been in over the past year, where systems dig deep into the southwest, which means a much more active pattern as we go through the next year. All right, so let's go into Tuesday, late Tuesday. Chances for rain start to increase, increasing on Wednesday. On Thursday, our first system pushes through the region, and then this pushes by, and then our next system for next weekend builds in. So at least we have rain chances picking up in the forecast, which we definitely need. Outside for us right now, 62, northerly winds at about 10. Looks pretty good, much of the same. Indigo sky, casino and resort. This system is rotating by. We do still have the clouds, but they're clearing out now right along the I-44 corridor, and any of our sprinkles are pretty much dissipating at this point in time. So let's walk you through the overnight hours tonight. Upper 40s, pretty much clear skies. As we go through the daytime hours tomorrow, partly sunny, mid 60s by noon. By the afternoon, we get into lower 70s. 71 in Stockton, 69 in Neosho, Welch 73, Fort Scott up to about 72. Tomorrow night, we drop back, upper 40s once again. As we go into Friday, looks pretty good as well. Temperature is warming up, upper 70s for highs. Day planner for you Thursday, 63 by 11, 71 by 3, dropping back to 65 by the time we get into the evening hours. But 71 for a high, 76 on Friday, 75 Saturday, 76 Sunday. So all the way through the weekend looks great. Then those rain chances start to increase early next week.
All right. Well,
not too bad.
Not too bad. Can't complain about that. We need the rain.
We do.
Can always use the rain. So
we can.
Enjoy the dry and then the rain. There you go.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Doug. Coming up in Sports Pit State, Ross Country gears up for the MIAA Championships. Plus, Sar Coxey and Diamond Volleyball see each other for the third time this season with a trip to the district title game on the line. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
College cross-country season is quick. If you blink, you might miss it. Teams only compete in a handful of meets before getting to the postseason. That first part of the postseason begins this weekend for Pittsburgh State, who heads to the MIAA Championships in Columbia, and the Gorilla men and women are led by a group of upperclassmen.
On the men's side, definitely we have great leadership, and both performance-wise and just from a cultural standpoint on the team between Matthew Oglesby, Braden Zahner, and Mason Strader. And then we have a slew of underclassmen guys that will be great leaders someday, but they've really bought into the program. And on the women's side, we have some great upperclassmen leadership from Marissa Dick, Kate Dawson, and Claire Bruning. And then as well as that, we have a couple freshmen high-level performers, Hannah Gibson and Paige Mullen.
We're into the postseason for high school volleyball as well. That means ratcheted up intensity, one team's season ending after every game, and loud environments. This evening, those are all true for the Class 2 District 11 semifinal between Sar Coxey and Diamond. Lady Bears and Lady Wildcats have seen each other twice. Diamond swept both those regular season matches. Sarcoxy showing early. It's here to play tonight, though. This kill by Ariel Wilson makes it 9-8 in the first set. Now, later on in the first, Diamond responds. Lauren Turner with a big-time kill to make it 14-9. We'd hear a lot more from her as the match went on. A couple minutes later, it's going to be Turner again, this time just finding the soft spot in the Sarcoxy defensive front. Wildcats win set 1, 25-19. To the second set now. Sarcoxy's Abigail Lawyer gets the block here. Big time set, and the Lady Bears take the second set, tie things up, one apiece. Into the third now. The last few sets, we would just keep going back and forth between these two. Emphatic spike by Cabri Parmley. Wildcats win that set 25-23. Just as close into the fourth when Diamond needs just one more set to win it. There's Turner again with a big point. Lady Wildcats win the fourth set 25-22. They'll play in the district championship tomorrow night. Over to the Class 4 District 6 tournament being held in Branson. Carl Junction, top seed there, and the Lady Bulldogs sweep Springfield Catholic in their semifinal this evening. CJ will play for a district title on Saturday. And that championship match will feature two of our teams from here in the 4 states. Webb City beats Branson 3-2 in the other semifinal. Those two COC rivals have played each other one time during the regular season. Carl Junction won that one 3-1 on the road at Webb City. One more sports note here before we go to break. The Chiefs pick up they get a big addition. Nicole Hardman, who was a wide receiver for Kansas City previously. He was in New York, didn't do much there. He gets traded back to Kansas City. He's back on the Chiefs now.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Well, great for those girls.
Yeah, like I said, it's an exciting time of year. In postseason volleyball, you get in a gym like that where it just gets really loud, and you also have teams kind of stepping up their game once they get into the playoffs.
All right. Well, thank you for covering them.
Of course.
We'll be back with more news after this. More young people are turning to their parents to help buy their first homes. Fox Business correspondent Jerry Willis has more on how many buyers are getting a loan from their family.
Almost 40% of buyers under 30 are using a cash gift or inheritance from family in order to afford that down payment. They're calling it the rise of the Nepo buyer. And more young people are choosing the route. The American dream is becoming increasingly unobtainable without that leg up. And the U.S. median down payment for a new home is over $30,000. So you're going to have a pretty significant nest egg in order to secure your first home. Down payments are ballooning for buyers, up more than 11% year over year. That's almost $30,000 per home. Historically, high interest rates are one of the reasons. The other, a massive shortage in supply that just can't meet demand. In the short term, it doesn't look like prices will be coming down.
Demand is incredibly high for first-time home buyers, and the only way they can afford a home is the bank of mom and dad. That's really the story here. There just isn't a supply for them to go out and save for their own down payment. We're not focused on housing, and the crisis is home, and we have an affordability crisis in America.
If you're planning to help out your kids with some hard and cold cash for a down payment, remember, the IRS has rules for that. The annual exclusion threshold for gifts is just $17,000 a year. In New York, Jerry Willis, Fox News.
Home building in the U.S. rebounded in September after dropping in August to the lowest level since 2020 as mortgage rates climbed. Housing starts jumped 7% above the revised August estimate to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of more than 1.35 million last month. That figure fell short of expectations of 1.38 million. It was also more than 7% lower than a year ago. Well, coming up, bad first dates are common, but we'll learn about one that involves eating nearly 50 oysters. First dates can be tricky, but one in Atlanta got downright slimy when a woman slurped down 4 dozen oysters, racking up a massive tab. Jeannie Moose reports.
He said he asked her out on a first date just for drinks. But what she ended up slurping were oysters. Slurping and slurping. 4 platters, totaling 48 oysters.
When the fourth one came out, he was looking at me crazy.
Her date wasn't the only one. And then after all those oysters at Fontaine's Oyster House in Atlanta,
I'm like, baby, what's next? What I'm about to eat?
She gobbled down a crab cakes and potatoes entree. But at some point, the date deserted.
Say he going to the bathroom and never come back.
And she ended up paying the almost $185 bill. Most online commenters were unsympathetic. If you eat 48 oysters in a day, you are a walrus.
I don't know if I ever ate 48 of anything. Some Skittles. But the way she was slurping them oysters, oh.
Heck, I would have walked out, to be honest with you.
You don't just run out on the bill, baby. The restaurant manager told Rolling Stone eating 48 oysters is pretty impressive, but not unheard of, and described the woman as nice. Many likened the oyster feast to the scene from White Chicks. No ribs were spared.
Damn, little lady. You sure can't put it away.
So can Oyster Girl. She was dubbed everything from Queen of the Sea to the Oyster Obliterator. When she texted her date, running out on a tab is crazy, he replied, I offered to take you out for drinks and said he'd pay for them. Dating etiquette can get slimy, but since this went viral, the world is her 48 oysters.
How do you go for just drinks at an oyster bar? Let's think about that. Not saying I sympathize with her. That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll leave you with video of 2 baby Eastern qualjoys. Aw. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.